imagine, Christmas, 1977. I am 5 years old, not part of the Snapchat generation. And I had literally what I can only describe as a life-changing experience. My dad took me to the cinema, and I sat there and witnessed this. Imperial Star Destroyer chasing a rebel blockade runner across the desert planet of Tatooine. I'm gutted that we're not in the cinema that we were in last year to put this up on the cinema screen. So, Star Wars was a huge part of my childhood. I grew up loving it. Many, many people in the audience might have done. And so, fast forward to 1999, and here the world was, in fact, sitting waiting for the first Star Wars movie in 15 years. Anyone remember what we got? This guy. Jar Jar Binks, yes. The world's first computer-generated marketing campaign. Now, no one can argue that George Lucas didn't know. Oh, no, sorry, I forgot about the numbers. Here's the results. Sounds like a lot of money, $64 million. Weekend one at the box office. Actually pretty average for a blockbuster of that scale. Average of 53% aggregated reviews on RottenTomatoes.com. Mediocre at best. So like I said, no one can argue that George didn't know what we wanted. We wanted another Star Wars movie. But arguably, George didn't understand why we wanted that movie. What he wanted to do was push the boundaries of cinematography, create digital movies. We didn't really want that. So fast forward to last year, and we've waited another 10 years for the dawn of the next generation of Star Wars movies. What did we get? These guys, boom, explode onto our screens. Rey, Finn, BB-8, a host of awesome new characters we almost immediately fall in love with. The results, that. 247 million weekend one, 4 times what The Phantom Menace took. It broke all box office pre-booking records. Average 93% aggregated reviews on RottenTomatoes.com. We loved it, critics loved it. We clearly voted with our bums on cinema seats. Now, what was different? Well, in the interim between the previous movies and The Phantom Menace, George sold Star Wars to Disney. Now, Disney are arguably one of the most customer-obsessed organizations in the entire world. And what did Disney do? Well, they hired a customer-obsessed director, him, J.J. Abrams. J.J. went out and actually talked to the fans. He engaged with the fans. He even involved the fans in creating part of the film. The R2-D2 you see in the latest film was made by fans. That's how much he integrated them into the story. Because J.J. understood what we wanted. We wanted another Star Wars movie. But J.J. understood why we wanted it. We wanted to recreate the best of our experiences with Star Wars. We wanted our kids to experience what we'd experienced sitting in the cinema. Awesome new characters, same plot. So, this is a kind of lighthearted way of backing into a very serious question. And that question is, do you really know what your customers want? So, quick hands up, I can't really see you, but hands up if you think you know what your customers want. About 3 of you. Keep your hands up if you know why your customers want those things. You're doing well if you know that. That's a hard question, which most firms can't answer. Now, before I worked at Forrester, I used to work at Boots. You all know I love Boots, surely. At Boots, we used to do this scheme called Out in Stores. So every year, every single head office employee would go and spend 4 days working out in stores. We'd stack shelves, we'd sell stuff to customers, and we'd talk to the customers. And what that made us do was empathize with them as human beings. We'd understand why a terminally ill cancer care patient came to Boots and what they needed from us. And we'd learn why a mother with a baby came to Boots and what she needed from us. Very, very different kind of customers. Now, don't think this is just about B2C organizations or retail organizations. This is John Deere. John Deere make big green tractors, right? Well, yes, they do, but John Deere also employ more than 500 software engineers in their connected solutions division. They have more than 200,000 pieces of hardware out in the field that are internet connected. These things feed telemetry back to a cloud-based analytics platform, and they take data from the devices, they mash it up with satellite data, weather data, data from seed producers, companies like Monsanto, and they feed that data back to the farmers. Because John Deere understands what its customers want. They want a big green tractor. But they also understand why their customers want that thing. Because they want better farming outcomes. They want increased crop yield. They want improved productivity in their farms. Now, this isn't just about data. So back to Boots. Boots are swimming in data. Boots have 20 years worth of data on 16 million customers, one of the most data-rich companies in the UK. They really understand what their customers do. But having a whole bunch of data, knowing what your customers do, doesn't make you customer-led. Customer-led firms, they do two things. They understand their customers' whys, and they collaborate to serve their customers. Now, I'm going to break these things down over the next few slides. There's going to be 4 things that firms do to understand customers' why, and then I'm going to dig into a key technique of actually beginning to collaborate. Some of what you've heard from Guardian, some of what you heard from Land Rover as well, might sound familiar here. So first of all, customer-led companies, they understand the why, like I said. Customer-aware firms, they'll ask questions. We heard about how cheap and easy it is to ask questions earlier on in surveys. Customer-led firms combine those kind of static surveys and structured data with things like ethnographic research about why people are doing the crazy things they do. So an example of that is EasyJet. Now, EasyJet are a low-cost carrier. Many of you will have traveled on them, and many of you might have experienced they're improving their customer experience year on year. They're focusing on it. Now, when EasyJet launched its mobile app, it turned to things like App Store reviews and ratings to get a view on how people were using it and whether they liked it or not. But that told them a static number of X people have downloaded it and they gave it a 5-star review. It didn't explain why they were doing the weird and wonderful things or what was missing. So they went out in the field, they followed their customers around, they talked to their customers, and they spent a lot of money, as we've heard, doing that ethnographic research. And they found that their customers were telling them they were missing a key piece of functionality, the need to have multiple boarding passes on one app. Why was that? Well, what they found was the early adopters of the app, they tended to be like business travelers who were traveling on their own. But when those same business travelers went on holiday with their families, their kids, their elderly relatives, they didn't have smartphones, so they couldn't take advantage of this feature. So it led to changes to the app, changes to the specification, and it's resulted, this continuous iterative approach they've taken has resulted in an award-winning app that's driving customer improvements, customer satisfaction increase, and efficiencies into the organization. They're listening to their customers. So next, customer-aware companies, they have structured data. Customer-led companies combine that with unstructured data to get new insights and learn new things. That's what Sony have been doing. So a couple of years ago with the World Cup, Sony built an app for the World Cup. This is called One Stadium Live. And it was a social kind of aggregation platform that connected customers together based on what they were interested in and why they were watching the matches. So it would look at whether people were following maybe one particular player or maybe people had placed a particular bet on a particular outcome of a match, and it would connect those people together. And it drove phenomenal results for the brand. 20 million activations, 20 million downloads, and about 20% of the customers who downloaded the thing used it regularly throughout the course of the World Cup. 70% of those customers reported improved brand sentiment towards Sony as a brand, so it had a positive impact. And I think it was about 7% uplift in their social media following after the end of the World Cup because people had connected together through this app. They connected people about what they were interested in with why they were interested in those subjects. So the next thing is market research. As we've heard again, you can go out and ask questions of your customers, and it's cheap and easy to do that. But customer-led companies combine that with customer co-creation. They get their customers involved in building things with them and inventing their next brand experiences. That's what Lenovo have been up to. Now, Lenovo make boring black laptops, business PCs and laptops that your procurement department might buy. But they also make awesome gaming PCs. Now, if you're a boring black laptop manufacturer, hard to say, how do you transform yourself into an awesome gaming manufacturer? Well, you write a computer game. That's what Lenovo have been doing. But they've been doing it in collaboration with a computer game company called Dark Rift and with a whole load of fans. They've created a whole load of digital assets, a website, forums, apps, and they're crowdsourcing content for their computer game. It might have launched by now, actually, because I first did this presentation a couple of months ago. They've generated something like 80 million customer contacts through this program, 18 million video views globally. They've recruited key influencers like Felicia Day, who are out there blogging about this kind of content. They've generated, there's a whole lot of stats to go with it, 15,000 active users regularly uploading content, levels, games, all that kind of stuff. So these fans actively engage in co-creating the next brand experience with Lenovo. The results, actually, there's financial results to this, there's business results to this, not just like downloads and engagement. In an industry that's shrinking, the PC industry, Lenovo are the only PC manufacturer that grew last year. They drove a 15% uplift in their product sales as a result of this and other activities. In a shrinking market, they're outcompeting their competitors because they understand what do customers want. A gaming PC. Why do they want it? An awesome gaming experience. Now, the last thing of the 4 things is descriptive analytics. Customer-led company or customer-aware companies will ask customers or look at what customers are doing, analyze their behavior. Customer-led companies will combine that data with predictive analytics to work out what are people going to do next and why are they doing those things. So my example here is O2. Now, counterintuitive, I'm going to show you a picture of some trains. So this is actually about O2. How well does this build? Right. So about 10 million people a year take the Eurostar to France. O2 know that those people potentially need data roaming plans, and their propensity to buy, as O2 discovered, the propensity to buy those plans is when the customers are on the trains. That's when they're most likely to convert as customers. So how do O2 work out whether they're on the train or not? Well, they can track cell tower information, they can look at where customers are, but the challenge is that the Eurostar and the Javelin train to Hastings travel the same route. So if you just track cell tower data, you don't know whether a customer's going to France or to Hastings. You don't want to pitch an international roaming plan to a customer that's going to Hastings, because you'd look a bit stupid. So what O2 do is they take that cell tower data, they mash that up and combine that with route plan data, with customer data, with scheduling for the trains, live information about whether the trains are delayed or traveling faster. And they use that to isolate the customers that they believe are going to France. The results of that, pitching to only those customers, 65% uplift in the product sales on this product. A lot of data, but a lot of good results for them. So by understanding what their customers are doing, sitting on a train, and combining that with why they're sitting on that train, allows these guys to drive the right results. So there's 4 things that these guys do. Surveys and ethnography, structured data, unstructured data, market research, co-creation, descriptive analytics, predictive analytics. Sound hard? That's the easy bit. The next thing you need to do, as we've heard from quite a few people this morning, is you need to collaborate. You need to break down the silos and work in different ways. And that is really difficult. It takes an entire village of people these days to deliver these kind of customer experiences we're talking about. Look at all the roles that are up there: marketing, technology, insights, operations, sales, all these different people working together, all thinking they're the most important people in the world, and all forgetting to put the customer right at the center of this, because actually that's who you're trying to serve. Now, this kind of links into what I think, the guy from The Guardian, whose name I've already forgotten, Duncan? Is that right? Yes, brilliant. I'm all terrible on names. Duncan told us before. This is from one of the surveys we did earlier this year. 68% of executives tell us that the biggest thing in the way of improving the digital maturity within their organization, oh God, I'm sorry, this thing's really sensitive. 68% of executives tells the main thing that's in the way of improving digital maturity within their firms is the existing organization structures and metrics that they've got in place. So the way we're organized is the way we've organized for success in the past is stopping us succeeding in the future. Now, even more worrying, only 18% of executives tell us that their marketing teams and their IT teams have a great collaborative relationship, that they co-create to create solutions. 18%. Now, the one shining light in all of this is we run this survey globally. In the US, that's 15%. So we can claim we're better than the Americans or something. But 18% is hardly anything to shout about. We're not going to win any prizes with 18%. We need to learn to work differently. So here's the thing. Customer journey maps. They help you break down the silos, don't they? Well, we've been shouting about customer journey maps for a few years now, and many people are out there using them, and they're kind of an effective tool at times. But here's a genuinely true story. I once went to a big global CPG company that makes chocolate bars, and we had a big conversation about digital strategy, and I asked them, do you have personas? Do you have journey maps? And all the people said, no, we haven't done that. We should do, but we haven't done it. I went out for a break, went to get a cup of coffee, walked down the corridor, and there on the wall were a whole load of customer journey maps. So I come back into the room and said, what are those? And one of the guys actually turned to me and actually said, oh, I've never seen those before. They put them on the wall and walked past them every single day. How much money must they have spent on that? But we found a thing, collaborative customer journey maps. The technology has come, it's not the answer, but technology has come to help us here. This is what one looks like. This is an example from a company called Tandem7. It's a collaborative journey map. It's fed by data, and it's a real-time thing. So what we see is, this is a travel one, travel journey across the top, and you can't see it very well because it's going off the screen. The different actions, the thinking, the feeling, experience ratings, the things customers are doing down the side. So these tools allow us to visualize and share. They allow us to monitor and optimize, and they allow us to link and reveal what's going on in real time, because it's fed by telemetry about how customers are really using these touch points. So if you implement these things right, you get a great insight into the actions. What are they doing? What are they thinking and feeling? What's their sentiment? How are they rating your experience? And then what are the touch points? Is it mobile? Is it web? Is it a kiosk? And what are the back-end systems of record, systems of data and CRM systems that are supporting these kind of experiences in real time? So it gives us a very different way of visualizing and sharing, monitoring, optimizing, and linking and revealing what's going on within your organization. So we understand the customer's whys, and we start to use software to collaborate and drive a different kind of approach, break down the silos within our organization. So when you do that, what does that look like? Let me give you an example. And actually, this is based on someone who presented here last year. So any of you here last year will recognize a little bit of this. Now, here's a question. What do these guys, remember these guys, big green tractors? What do these guys have in common with these guys? Luxury fashion online. Nothing? Well, no. They both launched a print magazine. John Deere launched the world's first branded print magazine in 18-something, or I can't remember the date exactly. It reaches peak circulation in about 1920, and at the time, it cost more than Vogue, believe it or not. Now, these guys started out in digital. They started out online. But a couple of years ago, they launched a print magazine. At the time when Vogue and everybody else was shutting down print operations, why would they launch a print magazine? Well, to understand why, you have to look at their customers and unpick what was going on. And you have to look at Natalie Massenet's, their founder's vision. I'll have to turn around to read the quote because that's too small. People always say to me, you really strive to redefine retail. But the reality is I wanted to redefine magazines. That wasn't just a random vision because she wanted to get into journalism. It actually fitted in with the customer insight that Net-a-Porter learned when it looked at its customers. So they surveyed something like, they engaged with about 10,000 of their highest value customers, and they profiled those customers. And what they learned about their customers, she's 38, she has a high household income, she spends £22,000 on fashion a year. And she takes an average of 11 trips abroad. Are any of them in the audience? I'm curious. But so they kind of put a huge amount of effort, all the techniques we talked about, into profiling their customers and really understanding what that customer wants. Now, interesting, this is a highly digital customer. She does about 65% of her shopping online. Yet, when asked, almost all of them cited their primary influencer about fashion as print. They turn to print first above digital, even though they're, on the surface of it, highly, highly digital customers. So what do? Well, Net-a-Porter launched a magazine, naturally, but no normal magazine because they're an online brand. They launched a shoppable magazine. So you can open the magazine, you can scan things with the app, you can buy things with the app, and they also launched a concierge service. So if you're looking at the picture and you really like the place where the fashion shot is set, like Monaco or whatever, or you really like the Maserati she's leaning on, you can buy that as well. They've sold over 500 items through this concierge service. High value, sorry, I should have said Jaguar, shouldn't I? Really high value items that they're selling in addition to the very expensive clothing. So it works for them. Now the results speak for themselves. See this, 1.5 million print readers in 18 months. Took Harper's Bazaar about 6 years to get to this point. 80% of those readers have shopped. 400,000 regularly subscribe on a monthly basis. 50% of those people are new to the brand. So that gets interesting. They're attracting new people into the brand. And when they start shopping, they spend more money. These are high-value shoppers, already spend a ton of money, that are now spending more money because they're engaging in a complex, cross-touchpoint customer journey. So, I know this is all led by the fact that they actually understood why their customers engaged with them and what their customers wanted. So how do you do it? Well, how do you get started? Work across functional boundaries. Take a lesson from The Guardian, look at how they've been operating. Break down the silos, do things like huddles, temporary project teams, that kind of thing. Next, prioritize high-impact interactions. Focus on where you can make a real difference. When you go out and look at these things, Barclaycard did this last year, a couple of years ago. They identified 147 different moments of truth for their customers. You cannot go after all those things. Prioritize the ones that add value to your brand, and prioritize the ones that add value to your customers. Next, bridge digital and physical. They're no longer separate. Don't think about digital, don't think about physical over there. They're one and the same. And then finally, because the time's run out, and I am about to finish, remember one thing. Most people in the world think they're customer-led. Next time you sit in a meeting and you say, our customers want this, our customers don't want this, we think we know what our customers want. Don't be this guy. Just remember him. No one wants to be him. Thank you very much.